The story begins with the hero Yuuga standing outside the Demon Lord's castle with his loyal party. The members hype each other up for the final battle. Some say that everything will end today, while others say that they will definitely win. The atmosphere is similar to the way friends motivate each other before exams in school or college. After a while, the castle gates automatically open, and several sinister eyes peek out from within. As the party enters the castle, they are confronted by Yaoki, the Demon Lord's general. He mocks them in an agentic manner, saying that they are too weak. The party's leader tries to attack him with an energy blast, but Yaoki easily dispels him. Then the swordsman launches a melee attack, but Yaoki dodges his attack and throws him back with a single kick. Then, support mage Cecilia casts an enhancement spell on Yuuga. Yuuga fires her ultimate spell, Excalibur, at Yaoki. Yaoki counters with his endless dark spell. Their powers clash, but ultimately Yaoki overpowers the hero and single-handedly defeats the entire party. Lying on the ground, Yuuga thinks this may be the end of his journey. He falls unconscious. As Yuuga faints, Yaoki begins healing all the heroes. Then his eyes fall on support mage Cecilia and he finds her very pretty. He becomes distracted by her looks. After some time, he takes all the heroes to the castle's breeding grounds. There, his subordinates ask him if he should kill the heroes. Yaoki is shocked to see them suddenly, and all his subordinates begin teasing him for staring at Cecilia. Finally, Yaoki relents and orders the heroes to be left with a human village. He secretly says a painful goodbye to his angelic crush. A month later, the Demon Lord summons Yaoki directly to his room. There, his right-hand man, Zakiel, asks him how many times the heroes have returned to challenge him. Yaoki reveals that they have returned 13 times. Hearing this, Zakiel dismisses them as weak students who don't learn their lessons. The Demon Lord wonders why Yaoki hasn't killed the heroes yet. Yaoki replies that they're so miserable they don't deserve his attention. The Demon Lord suggests that his subordinates handle the task. Yaoki is surprised. He thinks his servants won't be able to withstand the hero's power and doesn't want any harm to come to the pretty support mage. He asks permission to dispose of the heroes himself. The Demon Lord smiles and silently agrees. As he leaves the throne room, Yaoki worries about the heroes' lives. He knows he's the only one who can stop them. Otherwise, the heroes are so strong they could even kill the Demon Lord. He wonders what he should do now, as the Demon Lord will soon rule the entire world. The next day, the heroes return to the Demon Lord's castle. Yaoki pushes back swordsman and Yuuga. Just then, assault mage Makana counterattacks. Yaoki blocks the first wave of her spells, but Makana silently launches a second wave, surprising him. Yaoki reacts in time and blocks it. Makana is completely shocked by his lightning-fast reflexes. Meanwhile, Yaoki sees Cecilia healing her friends and begins to blush. He laughs and mocks the heroes, calling their attempts futile. Yuuga refuses to give up and uses a Excalibur spell again. But Yaoki easily survives and says they can never defeat him. Yuuga says they have no other choice. They must keep moving forward to defeat the evil Demon Lord. Hearing this, Yuuga suddenly points to Cecilia and says they can move forward if they spare her. Yuuga immediately refuses, but Makana says they should accept the offer. She explains that this demon could kill them at any time. Therefore, it's better to accept his kindness and complete the mission. Yuuga is still reluctant. But then Cecilia herself says she's willing to stay. Finally, the party moves on, promising to return to retrieve their priestess after defeating the Demon Lord. After everyone leaves, Cecilia asks Yaoki why he stopped her. Thinking Yaoki is a fighter, she tries to attack him. But Yaoki immediately surrenders and begins negotiating. Cecilia asks why he's introducing himself if he wants to kill her. Yaoki says that if he really wanted to kill her, he would have done so at the beginning. Finally, Cecilia relaxes and asks what he wants. Yaoki musters up the courage to confess that he fell in love with her at first sight and wants to go on a date with her. But she rejected him on the spot. This rejection is so painful that Yaoki loses his will to live. Cecilia thinks Yaoki is just trying to trick her, so she goes to attack him again. But when she sees that Yaoki isn't even defending himself, she stops mid-attack. Yaoki tells her to continue attacking and finish him off because he no longer wants to live. Cecilia can't believe someone could give up so easily. Yaoki then tells her that he's been trapped in the Demon Lord's castle his entire life. He was only allowed out to destroy human villages, but he never wanted to do that. Hearing this, Cecilia is shocked and says that all demons are evil. Yaoki explains that although he has the body of a demon, he is actually a reincarnated human from another world. Hearing this, Cecilia is completely confused. Yaoki tells her that he is a human in the body of a demon. Cecilia then understands that being reincarnated gives him incredible powers. She wonders why he didn't defeat the Demon Lord himself. Yaoki explains that if he had defeated the Demon Lord, he would have become the next leader of the demons and would have committed terrible atrocities against humanity. This compulsion left him feeling helpless, and he had thought he would spend the rest of his life rotting miserably in the same cell. But then Cecilia came into his life, making him realize that life is worth living. Now that even his last hope has rejected him, he is ready to give up everything. Then Cecilia tells him that he should live and use his power to help humanity. She says that his life may have another purpose and offers to help him settle into the outside world. A few days later, a celebration is held in the Clarinus Kingdom to celebrate the death of the Demon Lord. King Daz congratulates all the heroes and announces that a 3-day celebration will be held in his honor. Yauki watches all this from a secluded area outside the kingdom. He knows Cecilia lives there. So to appear as a normal human, he breaks off his demon horn, enduring the pain, and enters the kingdom. Meanwhile, Makana congratulates Yuga on his victory and Yuga is overjoyed. He then turns to Cecilia, knowing that this victory was possible because of her. Seeing this, Makana feels ignored. A little while later, Yauki goes to register at the City Adventurers Guild. The lazy receptionist, Clayman, yawns and pulls out a registration form. Yauki signs the form and Clayman gives him his guild card and explains that he will start at the lowest F rank, going up to S rank. He explains that you can rank up by taking commissions. It can be done, but it normally takes an adventurer a full month to reach rank E. He warns him to keep his card safe and wishes him good luck. After receiving the card, Yauki relentlessly completes missions and earns enough money to rent an inn. A week later, when he visits the guild again, all the adventurers are talking about a rising adventurer who is rapidly rising in rank. Meanwhile, Yauki asks Clayman for more commissions. But the lazy receptionist doesn't have to do paperwork today and angrily tells him to talk to the pretty lady sitting nearby. Yauki refuses, saying he prefers spending time with Clayman. Furthermore, Clayman asks him about his real identity, as no normal person can rise from rank F to D in just a week. Yauki tries to feign ignorance, but Clayman refuses, saying he hasn't done anything illegal so he can't persecute him. Just then, a hooded girl enters and asks Clayman to cancel Yauki's missions. Yauki is shocked, as the girl turns out to be Cecilia. Clayman also wonders what the hero priestess is doing at the guild. Cecilia tells him to speak softly. Then, turning to Yauki, she invites him to her home for a private chat. Then, as he boards Cecilia's carriage, Yauki thinks how strange it is for a girl to invite him home. Upon reaching the house, a guard becomes suspicious of Yauki and, brandishing a spear, asks why he was with Cecilia. Cecilia steps forward and explains that he's her friend. Another guard then pulls his partner away and Cecilia takes Yauki inside and gives him tea. She apologizes for not finding him sooner, but Yauki doesn't mind. He wonders how she managed to find him in such a big city. Cecilia explains that reaching D rank in such a short time has made him famous throughout the town. That's why she asked him to leave the Adventurers Guild. Hearing this, Yauki is completely confused. Cecilia explains that after the Demon Lord's defeat, other nations have started proxy wars for power. She explains that Yuga is receiving numerous offers of women, money, and power from the rulers. Yuga feels a little jealous of the hero, but he also understands that the nations only want to use him as pawn. Cecilia then explains that his extraordinary power will also make him the center of dangerous attention. Cecilia explains that different nations will start taking notice of his strength because he is even stronger than the hero. She fears that people will misuse Yauki's power to take over the world. Yauki understands her concern, but he reminds her that she has bills to pay, and life can't be sustained by good intentions alone. Cecilia says she could hire him herself, but she admits she doesn't have enough money to cover her hard work. She still pleads with him to agree. Yauki then asks her to raise her head and confidently declares that even if the most beautiful woman in the world were offered to him, he wouldn't accept because he only has Cecilia. Cecilia laughs at this, and Yauki feels embarrassed by his own boasting. Just then, Cecilia's mother, Celia, enters the room. She apologizes for the guard's rude behavior and sends her maid, Sophia, to discipline him. As soon as the maid leaves, Celia reveals that her daughter has received several engagement offers. Yauki is shocked to hear this, as the hero Yuga had also confessed to Cecilia. But Cecilia assures him that she had rejected Yuga. Seeing Yauki's condition, Celia understands that he also likes her daughter. She sits down next to him and asks him directly if he wants to marry Cecilia. Yauki is even more shocked and thinks this might be a test. But Celia says she wants a clear answer. Yauki shakes his head and says that Cecilia has already rejected him. He explains that he is currently trying to build a stable life by becoming an adventurer so he can propose again in the future. Celia asks if he is rejecting her generous offer. Yauki says he vows to always respect Cecilia's feelings. Ultimately, Celia is pleased with his intentions and explains that she just wanted to see if he jumped at the chance, as she wouldn't let her daughter marry someone so desperate. She approves of Yauki and allows him to visit her in the future. Later, Cecilia reveals that her mother may have started to like him. Yauki is still a little nervous about her mother, but he understands the value of the chance he's given. He asks if he can call her by her first name. Cecilia agrees and calls him by his first name in return. Hearing this, Yauki exclaims with joy, realizing he's one step closer to the girl he loves. After that, a little later, we see Yauki in the middle of one of his hero quests. Normally, such a quest takes a full week to complete, but Yauki manages to complete it in just one day. After finishing the quest, as he prepares to go home, he is suddenly attacked. 3 unknown attackers launch a coordinated attack on him. Yauki tries to defend himself, but then realizes that these people look familiar to him. They were the same people who used to be his subordinates at Demon Castle. Yauki is shocked to see them. He doesn't want to fight them, so Yauki immediately calls a timeout and reveals his true identity. The 3 are overjoyed as they thought Yauki was no longer in this world. But the Duke is furious. He is angry with Yauki because he wasn't present when the hero party attacked Demon Castle. He didn't come to protect them as usual. The 3 of them had to fight on their own, and Hero's party somehow reached the Demon Lord's throne room, where the Demon Lord was defeated. Duke feels as if Yauki deliberately let the heroes in without a fight. Furthermore, Yauki now looks exactly like a human, which confuses them even more. Duke asks why all this happened. Yauki tells everyone to calm down and says he has a solid reason for his actions. The 3 of them stop to listen, trusting him. But when Yauki explains that he did all this because he had a crush on the hero party's priestess, their minds go completely blank. They can't understand this. Yauki tells them that he now wants to live like a human. He says that from now on, they shouldn't consider him their captain and do whatever they want. He gives them complete freedom, but the 3 flatly refuse. They say they prefer being with Yauki. They also want to meet the girl who stole Yauki's heart. Hearing this, Yauki panics. Yauki says that it's impossible. If anyone in the city sees them, panic will spread, people will be scared. The entire city will be thrown into chaos. But the 3 remain confident. They say there's no problem. They can hide their demon features just like Yauki. Hearing their words, Yauki thinks for a while. They are so persistent that Yauki finally agrees and allows them to come with him, as if he knows it will be difficult for them to escape. But Yauki warns them in advance that blending in with humans isn't as easy as they think. Later that day, Yauki disguises his subordinates and brings them to meet Cecilia, but the experience turns out to be much more brutal than they expected. Afterward, they all sit together and drink tea. Cecilia smiles. She says it was nice to meet them. Although she knows they're all demons, they don't look like demons at all. Duke explains that they've worked hard to make themselves look human. Yauki fused his head inside his armor so he can't roll off. Duke and Cecilia's conversation goes smoothly. They get along well. This makes Yauki a little jealous because Duke never talked that much around her. But as soon as he met a cute girl, he started talking non-stop. Duke explains that he didn't talk much before because he didn't like Yauki at all. Yauki's image in the demon castle was that of a total jerk who wouldn't leave his room, even when his superior yelled at him to go out and kill some humans. As befits a respectable demon general, he would threaten to beat them if they bothered him, and eventually they would leave him alone. Duke didn't like this behavior from a demon general at all. So one day he sneaked into Yauki's room to teach him a lesson. He thought a weak loser would be easy to handle, but he was proven wrong. Yauki beat him severely. After that, Duke became Yauki's subordinate. Although he held a grudge against the beating for a while, he gradually accepted everything and accepted Yauki as his leader. Duke is convinced that the same thing happened with Happiness and Shake. But when he talks about them, he realizes that they are nowhere to be seen. If anyone other than Cecilia finds out their true identities, it could cause a huge problem. So Yauki and the others go inside to look for them, and then they see Celia in the garden. Seek is sleeping in her lap. Celia sees them coming and asks if they know who this child is. She tells them that Seek is her friend. She apologizes for any trouble, but Celia says there's no need to apologize. She loves spending time with kids. She found Seek running around in the garden. So instead of wondering how he got in, she started playing tag with him. Seek got tired and fell asleep in her lap. Now that Seek is found, Yauki asks Celia if she saw any girl with Seek. Celia confirms but says that the head maid took her in a while ago. Yauki senses danger upon hearing this. They all quickly run inside, but they are shocked to see the scene inside. Happiness is undergoing training on perfect maid etiquette. As soon as Sophia sees the group, she reveals that she was finishing her new maid training. But Cecilia clarifies that Happiness is not a maid, she is Yauki's friend. Sophia asks Happiness and she confirms. Sophia immediately apologizes and says she can leave if she wants. Yauki tells Happiness to change into her maid outfit, but surprisingly, Happiness refuses. She finds being a maid more fun than she thought. That's why she wants to work here. Sophia has no objections, and thus Happiness officially becomes a maid. By the end of the day, everyone prepares to leave. They wish Happiness good luck on her first day, but while Yauki's departure, Celia calls him aside. She explains that Cecilia hasn't had a chance to relax in weeks, so she's going to force her to take a day off. And if Yauki wants to ask her on a date, this is the best chance. This is the perfect opportunity Yauki has ever had, and he's not going to waste it. The next day, during the date, Cecilia arrives in her carriage. Yauki is completely mesmerized by her outfit. He says he'll use all his energy to make her day off absolutely perfect. Cecilia laughs at him taking it so seriously, but she's excited to see what Yauki has planned. As they walk through the city, Cecilia notices a new type of cake has arrived at the local bakery. She suggests they go there after the date. For now, they continue their walk through the city. Yauki can't take his eyes off Cecilia because she looks so cute. So far, everything is going great and Cecilia is enjoying herself. A little while later, they arrive at an accessory store. They're about to go in, but just then, Yuuga and Makana from the hero party pass by. As soon as Yuuga recognizes Cecilia, Yuuga loudly calls out to Cecilia and completely ignores Yauki. He remarks what a crazy coincidence it is that everyone has the same day off. And since everyone is here, he suggests they spend the entire day together. Cecilia politely tries to refuse. She explains that she's already spending time with her friend Yauki. But as soon as Yauki's name is mentioned, Yuuga feels like he's seen Yauki somewhere before. Yauki casually suggests that perhaps he's just playing tricks on her. Yuuga thinks for a moment, then lets it slide. He then insists that everyone should go in together so no one feels left out and doesn't give Cecilia the proper time to objectify her. He grabs her and drags her inside. Here Makana is deeply offended by this, as this was the day she had barely convinced Yuuga to go on a date. Now, seeing all this, she clearly understands that Yauki is also on a date with Cecilia. She wishes Yauki good luck and says that if he impresses Cecilia, Yuuga will be forced to focus on her. Yauki goes in and meets Cecilia again, and since they're already in the store, he offers to buy Cecilia a gift. Cecilia refuses, saying she doesn't need to buy anything. But Yauki says it's his way of saying thanks for all the help Cecilia has given him. Cecilia finally agrees. Seeing this, Yuuga becomes extremely jealous. He jumps in and says he'll pick out gifts for everyone, clearly trying to one-up Yauki. Yauki picks out a necklace he thinks would look great on Cecilia. Meanwhile, Yuuga picks up the store's most expensive pendant because he can't figure out what else to buy. He tries to put it on Cecilia but accidentally drops his disguise. Now she's wearing neither a hat nor glasses. Everyone in the store immediately recognizes her, as do the rest of the hero party. Suddenly, the entire store fills with fans. The crowd chases them all the way to the street, and in the chaos, Yauki is separated from Cecilia. While searching for Cecilia, Yauki encounters Raven, the last member of the hero party. Raven is surrounded by a group of girls and he looks very uncomfortable. Yauki decides to help him. He diverts the crowd's attention to Yuuga and grabs Raven and runs into an alley. After escaping the crowd, Yauki expects Raven to thank him, but Raven remains completely silent. Yauki thinks that perhaps he isn't the talkative type. But as Yauki starts to leave, Raven tells him to stop, and Yauki understands why Raven doesn't speak much because his voice sounds like a teenage girl's. He avoids speaking in crowds because he fears people will make fun of him, but Yauki has no such intention. After all, everyone has some insecurities. Raven is relieved to have found someone as understanding as Yauki. But then Yauki remembers that he has to find Cecilia and starts running again. The rest of the day passes without a problem. But the next morning, Yauki discovers that Cecilia has a fever due to all the stress of yesterday. She was already close to breaking point, and handling so many fans at once was too much for her. Yauki feels it's all his fault. Here Celia explains to him that he doesn't need to feel guilty. Cecilia just has a mild cold and isn't angry with Yauki. However, he is very upset with Yuuga and will have a long discussion about boundaries the next time they meet. Yuuga was the main reason for Cecilia's condition. But as soon as he learns of this, he immediately tries to visit Cecilia, but the nurses stop him at the gate to prevent him from causing further damage. Celia thinks Cecilia would enjoy seeing a friend during her recovery, so she asks Yauki to meet her. Sophia takes Yauki to Cecilia's room and knocks on the door. Cecilia panics and asks Yauki to wait outside while she cleans the room. But Sophia assures her that there's nothing to worry about. She's already removed all of Cecilia's toys. Still, Cecilia is embarrassed by this. But now there's no problem with Yauki coming in, so Yauki comes in and sits next to the bed. He apologizes for the entire incident and says he'll somehow fix it, but Cecilia says she doesn't blame him. If he's really feeling guilty, she gives him a chance. She says he can go on another date with her after she recovers. Yauki is completely stunned for a few seconds because Cecilia basically asked him on a date herself, and it was the best thing that happened to him all day. Yauki smiles and says he promises their next date will be even better. Yauki is overjoyed to hear Cecilia's words, more than he ever imagined. He can't control his emotions and becomes a little overly enthusiastic. But the problem is that he starts speaking loudly around Cecilia, which could worsen her condition. Seeing this, Sophia intervenes and politely sends Yauki out. Yauki is a little disappointed, but he understands and starts to go home. Then suddenly he sees Raven, who is nervously walking towards Cecilia's house. Yauki is curious about what he's doing there, so he goes up to Raven and speaks casually. Raven's face suggests he's thinking about something. Yauki asks him if something's bothering him. After a little hesitation, Raven admits that he's trying to muster the courage to confess to the girl he likes. He explains that she didn't make fun of him after hearing his voice, just like Yauki did, and that from that day on, Raven developed a crush on her. But he doubts whether she likes him back. Yauki is a little confused. He doesn't understand why Raven is so worried, because Raven is a doll, handsome and famous. His only problem is his voice. But the girl he likes has already said that she has no problem with his voice. So Raven has a very good chance of acceptance. Yauki explains all this to Raven. Raven realizes that Yauki is right. His confidence increases and he decides that he will confess. Yauki feels proud of him, like a senior student motivating his junior, but then Yauki realizes something. Raven is heading straight for Cecilia's house. This means the girl Raven likes can only be Cecilia. Thinking this, Yauki freezes up a bit. He feels like he's created competition for himself, but now what was destined to happen is about to happen. He tells himself that it's all his fault because he encouraged Raven to go and confess his love to Cecilia. Yauki tries to convince himself that it's impossible for Cecilia to love or date Raven. He is absolutely confident that Cecilia loves only him. But then Yauki remembers that Cecilia and Raven were once together on the hero team. He begins to think that perhaps a situation had occurred between them that had led Cecilia to Raven's attention. Yauki sits and imagines the two trapped in a magic cave where Cecilia was in danger. Then Raven arrives and rescues Cecilia. Cecilia must have fallen in love with him in that very moment. Suddenly, Raven returns. His face clearly reveals his frustration. He thanks Yauki for giving him the courage to confess, but also says that everything has been in vain and nothing has come of it. He also says that he no longer wants to live. After this, Yauki quickly runs to the mansion to meet Cecilia. But the maid, Sophia, stops him. She tells him that Cecilia is still sleeping and tells Yauki to go back. Yauki says that Raven was here just a short while ago. Sophia then explains that yes, Raven came, but he came to meet Happiness, not Cecilia. Yauki is shocked to hear this. He immediately realizes that Raven came for Happiness, not Cecilia. Yauki wastes no time and goes to Happiness and asks her what her reaction was when Raven came to confess his love. Happiness explains that she refused to talk to him and didn't reply, meaning she directly rejected him. Yauki then goes to meet his team and angrily tells them that Happiness rejected Raven, despite the fact that Raven is such a good person and is also a member of the hero team. Duke then explains that Happiness hates humans and would never even consider dating one. Then the Duke tells Yauki about Happiness's past. He says that Happiness once had only one feather. One day, a human came to hunt her, but the Duke intervened and saved her. Since that incident, Happiness has developed a hatred for humans and has kept her distance. However, Seek says that it's unlikely that Happiness hates all humans, as she herself is currently working as a maid at Cecilia's mansion. He says that not all humans are necessarily bad, there are some good ones too. Yauki agrees and says that Raven is truly kind, and if Happiness can talk to him comfortably once, she will definitely start to like him. Yauki then goes to the guild and searches for Clayman, but he is nowhere to be found. There he finds a female staff member of the guild who is alone. She calls Yauki and tells him she knows he's looking for the guild vice president. Yauki says no, he wants to meet Clayman. Then she reveals that Clayman is the guild vice president. Yauki is completely shocked to hear this, as he had no idea before. When Yauki asks where Clayman has gone, she says it's a secret, but if he doesn't tell anyone, she will tell him. She reveals that Clayman is currently in the hospital. Then Yauki buys some fruit and goes to the hospital to see him. He's shocked to see Clayman's condition, as he has extensive injuries on his chest. Yauki asks how this happened. Clayman explains that it was all due to a romantic fight and that his wife caused it. Yauki asks why, and Clayman explains that it was their wedding anniversary yesterday. He went to the gift shop to buy a necklace, but he spent the entire day thinking about which gift would be the best. The shop closed and he was kicked out. He went home without buying a gift, only to remember that he had forgotten about the anniversary. Afterward, his wife beat him so badly that his bones were broken. Yauki says that his wife seems very strong. Clayman laughs and says that yes, she used to be a strong adventurer and they were on the same team and no one could ever defeat them. Yauki wants to heal Clayman with his healing magic, but Clayman refuses. He says this is the perfect opportunity for his wife to come and take care of him. Suddenly, Sophia enters and Yauki realizes she's Clayman's wife. Upon seeing her, Clayman says, "Welcome, my dear love." However, Sophia, still furious, kicks him hard. This surprises Yauki even more. On their way out, Yauki asks Sophia about Cecilia. She explains that she's doing well now and her fever has subsided. She's currently on a mission and will be resting for a few days. Before leaving, Yauki asks Sophia if girls really like gifts so much. Sophia asks if her husband said anything. Yauki says no, it's just a normal question. She then replies, yes, girls like gifts but price doesn't matter. Value does. Yauki then goes to meet Raven. On the way, he imagines that after marriage, his wife will wait for him every day after work, cook food, and take care of him. When he arrives at Raven's house, he finds Raven sitting on the bed, looking very depressed. Raven tells Yauki that he knows he understands everything. He clearly realizes that Happiness has rejected him. But Yauki explains that Happiness is a very kind girl and he doesn't want Raven to give up on his first attempt. Yauki repeatedly motivates him to try again. Raven asks Yauki how he knows Happiness is kind. Yauki reveals that he was Happiness's friend before. Yauki sits down next to Raven and asks him what happened before and how he met Happiness. Then Raven begins to tell his story. He explains that one day, while on regular patrol, he saw 3 thugs harassing Happiness. As Raven stepped forward to rescue her, one of the thugs attacked him. However, Raven delivered a powerful kick, knocking him to the ground. The others then realized Raven was one of the hero knights and fled in fear. When Raven confirmed Happiness was safe, he left without a word. But then Happiness stopped him and thanked him for his help. Without thinking, Raven said it was his duty. However, his voice was high-pitched like a girl's. This caused him great embarrassment. The real shock came when Happiness told him that his voice was very sweet. In that moment, Raven fell in love with her. Before leaving, Happiness thanked him a second time. From that day on, Raven fell in love with her and dreamed about her every day. Raven says that seeing Happiness's uniform made him understand that she is a maid at Cecilia's mansion, so he went there to confess his love to her. Then Raven asks Yauki if he knows Cecilia. Yauki says yes and also reveals that he loves her just like Raven. Raven laughs and says, "That's why you take so many missions at the guild to prove to everyone that you're worthy of Cecilia." Yauki then tells Raven not to be angry with Happiness, as her past has been very painful and she needs time to recover. Raven says that perhaps he ruined everything by confessing his love to her last time. But Yauki explains that it wasn't the case at all, but it was a very good move, and he doesn't want Raven to give up on his in the first place. The two then go to a women's accessories shop. Raven asks, "What are we doing here? All these gifts are for girls." Yauki then says, "That's why I brought you here." Yauki goes to a necklace that Cecilia had seen and liked earlier. He buys it without delay. He then looks at Raven and finds him standing in front of Chain's collection, choosing a chain for Happiness. Yauki goes to him and says that this chain would look beautiful on Happiness. Raven asks if Happiness wouldn't be scared if she accepted a gift from a stranger. Yauki says, "You're making a big deal out of a small thing. I'm confident she'll be happy as soon as she sees the gift." They both say that Happiness will also like this chain because it's the same color as her hair. Finally, Raven, invoking God, buys the chain. Yauki is surprised to see that Raven is talking to the saleswoman in writing, as his voice is like a woman's, and he feels very shy. Just as they are about to leave, Makana spots Yauki. She asks, "Aren't you the same guy who was with Cecilia?" She then asks, "What are you doing here? Are you cheating on Cecilia by buying a gift for another girl?" Yauki immediately replies, "No, he came to buy a gift for her." Makana notices that Raven has also bought a gift and asks him, "Who is your girlfriend that you're hiding from me?" As usual, Raven doesn't answer, thinking she's a bully. Makana tells them to go outside and talk for a while. Raven requests Yauki not to leave him alone and come with him. The three sit outside. Makana keeps talking, but Yauki and Raven just keep eating and completely ignore her. Finally, Makana gets angry and says she wants to talk about Cecilia. Hearing this, Yauki gets excited and asks her to speak. Makana asks him how far he's gotten with Cecilia. Yauki explains that they haven't seen each other since their last meeting. All he knows is that Cecilia receives marriage proposals every day, but she rejects them all. Makana explains that it was all because of Yuuga. He always created provocative situations that made Cecilia hate all men. He also had many female admirers. That's why Cecilia decided not to accept anyone's proposal. One day, Cecilia bluntly tells Yuuga that he treats girls very badly. Finally, Makana warns Yauki that he should be very careful when dealing with Cecilia. Makana then wants to talk to Raven, but Yauki interrupts, saying he won't let her know anything about him. Makana asks, "Why are you treating me like this? Have you forgotten that I'm a member of his team?" Then, Raven writes to her, telling her that Yauki has done more than just his duty for him. He depends on him and doesn't want anyone else's help. Makana then begins to tell them about her journey with Yuuga. She says she loves him, but he ignores her. Every time they meet the Demon King's assistant, he beats them up and throws them out. Makana explains that every time they were rescued, someone would use healing magic to heal them. Yauki listened to this, but remained silent because he didn't want anyone to know he was the one using healing magic. Makana further explains that one day, the Demon King's assistant requested a private conversation with Cecilia. That's why she had convinced Cecilia to sit with the Demon King's vice commander. From that day on, Yuuga began to hate her and stopped talking to her. Makana tells Yauki, "Be careful, your beloved Cecilia could have died with the Demon King's vice commander and the blame would have fallen on me." Hearing this, Yauki doesn't say anything. But then Raven interrupts and tells Yauki not to be angry with Makana because her intentions were good for everyone. Makana is surprised because this is Raven's first time speaking. Hearing his voice, she says to herself, "I should have expressed my opinion right then, but I was too overshadowed by my voice." Hearing this, Yauki understands that he himself is one of the reasons for the hero party's breakup. Yauki asks Makana if she has ever tried to talk to Yuuga. Makana says, "No, because it's clear he hates me." Yauki explains to her that she should talk to him, maybe he'll gradually change his mind about her. Hearing Yauki's words, Makana is overjoyed and promises to try to talk to Yuuga again. Yauki and Raven arrive at Cecilia's mansion and Yauki can finally meet her. There, they meet Duke, who welcomes Yauki and asks about the man who came with him. Yauki reveals that it's Raven, and Duke immediately realizes that this is the boy who loves Happiness and went to confess to her. Duke threatens Raven, saying that if he ever upsets Happiness or has any ill intentions towards her, he will turn him into potatoes. Raven is too embarrassed to speak, fearing his own voice. Duke realizes that Raven is a coward and says that he doesn't deserve Happiness. Happiness should be with a brave man. But then Raven gathers all his courage and speaks up, saying he doesn't care about his voice. At that very moment, Duke smiles and says, "This is the spirit. Now I give you permission to meet and talk to her." Then Raven actually goes to meet Happiness. He takes out the gift he brought with him, and Raven is surprised to see that Happiness happily accepts the gift and is very pleased to see it. A week later, Yauki remains lying in his bed. When Seek requests him to go with him to Cecilia's mansion, Yauki refuses because Cecilia hasn't been home all week. Irritated, he explains that the entire hero party has been busy with thieves for the past few days. Cecilia is going from town to town healing people. Raven is performing her duties as knight captain. Makana is working hard as a royal magician, and Yuuga is out destroying demons. All the heroes have taken different paths in their lives. Yauki feels guilty for letting the group disband after defeating the demon lord. He is sadly contemplating his feelings when Seek angrily jumps on his chest, complaining that Duke has also left home to become a royal knight. Just then, there's a knock on the door. Happiness comes in and tells him that Cecilia will be returning home in the afternoon. Hearing this, Yauki gets up as if all his energy has returned. He then looks at the necklace he bought for Cecilia as a gift and hopes she likes it. After a while, Yauki goes for a walk in town, wondering what to do before the meeting. As he walks, an old fortune teller tells him that he will have very bad luck. Yauki doesn't believe her because, according to him, the day he meets his crush can never be bad. He goes to a bakery where he is greeted by the shop owner's witty brother, who buys cupcakes for Cecilia and leaves. On the way, he takes out a cupcake and eats it. He gets so engrossed in eating that he bumps into an older man who becomes angry. Yauki apologizes and moves on, but then he narrowly avoids stepping on dog poo. Now he thinks maybe his luck really is bad today. While walking, he bumps into a kid and drops his meat skewer. Yauki buys him a new one. The kid thanks him and walks away. Just then, a pickpocket bumps into him and steals his money. Luckily, Yauki catches him and starts chasing him. With demonic speed, he easily catches the thief and throws him into the wall. After getting his money back, Yuuga suddenly appears and accuses Yauki of hitting the poor man and stealing his wallet. Yauki explains that he was only getting his own money back, but the hero doesn't believe him and attacks with his sword. Yauki avoids all of Yuuga's attacks, but the sword cuts his money bag and all the coins fall out and get wasted. Yauki tries to escape, but a group of royal knights surrounds him. They side with the hero and Yauki is sent to prison. Sitting in prison, Yauki contemplates where his life went wrong. Just then, the Duke approaches his cell and mocks his arrest. Yauki cries, saying he didn't do anything wrong. The Duke assures him that he understands and explains that Raven is personally investigating the matter because he trusts Yauki. Therefore, he will be released once the details are confirmed. Yauki is relieved to hear this. However, he notices that the Duke is speaking to Raven in a casual tone. He scolds the Duke for respecting his captain. However, the Duke says that for him, Yauki is the only true leader. A short while later, an elf named Irene arrives and tells the Duke to return to duty. Yauki is shocked to see the elf. Duke asks Irene for the cell keys and asks if Raven has verified Yauki's innocence. Irene nods and gives him the keys. She also reveals that Yuuga wants to apologize to Yauki for falsely accusing him. After getting out of jail, Yuuga goes to a fancy restaurant at Yauki's invitation. A huge feast is served there and Yuuga is waiting for him. He smiles and invites Yauki to eat. After feeling a little awkward, Yauki sits down and begins eating. Soon, Yuuga, along with Yauki and Raven, finishes all the food. After eating, Yuuga reveals that he didn't know Yauki was Raven's friend. Raven angrily scolds Yuuga, and Yuuga explains that he was scolded for his mistake. Yuuga then changes the topic and asks what his relationship is with Cecilia. Yauki says they're just friends. Hearing this, Yuuga feels honored that he was able to befriend the ice-cold priestess. Suddenly, Yuuga asks for advice and explains that he wants to get closer to Cecilia. Now Yauki doesn't want to help his love rival, so he puts the blame on Raven. Raven refuses to say anything and suggests talking to Maikana. Yuuga refuses, saying that Maikana hates Cecilia. Yauki is shocked. Yuuga explains that Maikana was willing to abandon Cecilia in a dangerous situation. Everyone is shocked. Yuuga says that Cecilia was lucky to survive. Yauki interrupts and says that the Demon King came up with the idea, not Maikana. Yuuga angrily says that he refused, but Maikana convinced him. Yauki explains that Maikana felt guilty and even cried. Yuuga is shocked to hear this but refuses to believe it. Yauki reminds him that the final decision was Yuuga's. Yuuga falls silent and realizes that the mistake was his. Raven consoles him, but Yauki calls him a coward and says he's shifting the blame. Hearing this, Yuuga breaks down in tears. Later, he apologizes and explains that Maikana was his childhood friend. She always supported him. Now he feels guilty that he ruined their friendship. Yauki suggests that he should get scolded by Maikana, because only those who care can scold, and that Yuuga is lucky to have a friend like Maikana. Yauki's suggestion gives Yuuga some hope and he thanks Yauki. Yauki finds the hero's childish behavior funny, and Raven gently tells him he's always been like this. Everyone leaves the restaurant, and Yauki turns to go meet Cecilia. Just then, Yuuga stops him and asks him to go to Maikana's house. Yauki, for moral support, is unwillingly dragged there. Upon reaching Maikana's house, Yuuga thanks him for coming and goes in alone. Yauki and Raven wait outside, both wishing him good luck. But Yuuga accidentally enters Maikana's room while she's changing clothes. Her terrified screams are heard outside, and Yauki and Raven realize that Yuuga has messed up again. Ignoring the situation, Yuuga grabs Maikana's shoulders and begins to apologize. Maikana is shocked. Yuuga admits he's done something very wrong. Maikana says he's still doing it wrong, but Yuuga doesn't stop. He admits that it was his mistake to blame Maikana for leaving Cecilia. Hearing this, Maikana calms down. Yuuga apologizes heartily, leaving Maikana confused. Then, as punishment, Maikana picks up the magic wand and shocks Yuuga. Yuuga screams in pain and Yauki leaves him in Maikana's care. While returning home, he encounters the same old fortune teller again. This time, Yauki confidently declares that he doesn't believe in fortune telling. After he leaves, the fortune teller looks at her crystal ball and wonders what good deed he did to cause his luck to suddenly change. Further along, Yauki meets the bakery's real owner, who apologizes for her brother's bad behavior and gives him a bag of free cupcakes. He then encounters a butler and a young boy, accompanied by some mysterious bodyguards. The butler thanks Yauki for helping his young master. Yauki remembers buying skewers for the kid. The butler apologizes and gives him a bag of fresh skewers as thanks. With all the goodies, Yauki finally arrives at Cecilia's mansion. There, Happiness meets him angrily and asks why he's late. Yauki shyly apologizes and goes to Cecilia's room. He gives her the food bags. Cecilia decides to make tea. Yauki wonders why she didn't call a maid. Cecilia proudly says she can make her own tea and food. Yauki shares about Happiness and Raven's new friendship with the tea and how he's become friends with the other hero party members. Suddenly, Yuuga bursts in. He apologizes for the past incident and tells her to stop. Maikana sneaks up behind him and knocks him unconscious. Everyone then learns that Cecilia was spending time with Yauki. Maikana apologizes to Cecilia for interrupting her. Raven also enters. Yauki goes out to give them privacy. Maikana apologizes to Cecilia for leaving her. Cecilia becomes embarrassed. Raven and Yuuga also agree that they were all equally responsible. Cecilia returns to them and says she forgives everyone. She explains that fighting the Demon Lord without her healing powers wasn't easy. The party made a tough choice to save the world, so she doesn't blame anyone. Maikana feels relieved and thanks her. The other heroes laugh. Later, Cecilia goes for a walk with Yauki. She asks if he was behind the apology. Yauki accepts and says that he just wanted to bring the heroes back together because he was the reason the group broke up. Cecilia thanks Yauki. Cecilia becomes a little thoughtful and feels happy that Yauki is getting closer to her friends and family. Yauki accepts her thanks and gives her his present right away. Cecilia takes the gift and opens it, then Yauki reminds her that he wanted to buy it for their date. He hesitates a little and asks if she will accept it. Cecilia smiles and promises to keep it safe forever. Hearing this, Yauki's smile brightens and he thanks Cecilia, even though he was the one who bought the gift. A few days later, Yauki and Cecilia meet at a party with Cecilia. They travel to a village affected by the disaster. Sitting in the carriage, Yauki is a little upset because Seek had come along as a third wheel, and he wanted some alone time with Cecilia. Cecilia apologizes to both of them. Just then, the carriage shakes violently, causing Cecilia to feel nauseous. Yauki becomes anxious. Cecilia explains that she's feeling nauseous due to the long journey. Seek gives her a secret potion made using pixie techniques. Upon drinking the potion, Cecilia begins to feel better. Seek smugly breaks down his usefulness. Seeing Yauki and Seek's banter, Cecilia is happy that she'll have good company during the mission. A short while later, they arrive at the village, which has been damaged by a bandit attack. The village chief greets Cecilia and asks about her companions. Cecilia explains that Yauki and Seek are excellent healers who have come to help. The old man trusts them and takes them to the shelter. There, the three of them work together to heal the injured. While working, Yauki observes how happily Cecilia heals and feels proud of her hard work. Yauki praises her thinking. Then he talks about the injured people. He wonders why no one died in the attack. The chief explains that the bandits suddenly ran away because a strange man appeared from nowhere and attacked them. Yauki becomes concerned, but he sees that Cecilia is exhausted. He tells her to rest, but she refuses. Yauki uses a spell to put her to sleep. The villagers panic, wondering if she caused the attack. Yauki explains that he only put her to sleep and lays her down on the bed. After a while, Cecilia wakes up and angrily looks at Yauki. Yauki apologizes and says he did this to her body because healing without energy could cause harm. Cecilia calms down but tells him not to do it again without consent. Yauki promises and tells her that everyone else has been healed. Cecilia smiles and thanks Yauki, which makes Yauki blush like a tomato. Just then, the village chief arrives and inquires about Cecilia's condition. He tells her about a girl named Teal who lives outside the village and is always bedridden due to a chronic illness. Cecilia agrees to see her. Arriving at Teal's house, they find her reading a book on the bed. Cecilia comes in to check on her condition. Teal coughs. Seek gives her pixie medicine. She's hesitant at first, but Yauki reassures her. She feels better after taking the medicine. Teal thanks her and believes Dedi heard her prayers. She begins to tell the story of the statue and the bandits. Teal explains that she was once surrounded by a group of wolves. Then she saw the demon's statue glow with dark power, and all the wolves nearby were wiped out. Teal believes it was her Dedi who did it. But Yauki and Cecilia become concerned about the strange demonic power. Teal takes all of them to the Dedi statue. Upon getting closer, everyone realizes that the statue is of a fearsome demon. Teal refuses to let anyone speak ill of her beloved Dedi. But her health worsens again and she starts coughing. Cecilia supports her and carries her home. While Yauki stares intently at the demon's statue, he explains that the statue is actually a gargoyle from his home area. Suddenly, the demon comes alive as if proving his point. Yauki quickly dodges the gargoyle's attack. Seek kicks him from above, knocking him out in one move. Yauki begs the gargoyle to speak, but he refuses, saying he's ready to die. Seek is about to kill him, but Yauki stops him. Now the gargoyle realizes his life isn't in danger. Yauki says that the gargoyle attacked first, so the gargoyle apologizes. Yauki accepts the apology, but asks what he's doing in such a remote village. The gargoyle explains that he was created to protect Shine, but the bandits robbed Shine and took him with them. On their way back, they attacked the village. Enraged, the gargoyle defeated the entire band. The villagers watched as the demon defeated its attackers. He gave him a place in his village and made him the local Dedi. Over time, the villagers forgot about him, but Teal kept coming to clean his statue because the bands were attacking the village again. The gargoyle protected her in return for her care. Yauki understands that the gargoyle doesn't want to harm the villagers. The gargoyle also says that he lives alone and doesn't disturb anyone. Hearing this, Yauki apologizes for disturbing him and takes Seek aside for a private conversation. Later that night, Yauki goes back for a walk with Cecilia. Cecilia laughs that Seek fell asleep so quickly. In fact, Yauki had deliberately sent Seek away so that he could spend time alone with Cecilia. Cecilia notices that Yauki is thinking about something and asks if he's worried. Yauki hides his thoughts and tells her to think about the gargoyle. Cecilia is hesitant to trust the demon, but Yauki reminds her that the gargoyle is peaceful. Hearing this, Cecilia relaxes. Yauki agrees, but then he doesn't know what to say. He stares at Cecilia silently, forgetting everything for a moment. Just then, Cecilia stumbles on a tree root and Yauki catches her. Both realize how close they've come. Embarrassed, they separate and Yauki politely tells her to be careful. As they move forward, alarms erupt from the village as the banded ones attack again. The banded ones begin their siege and Yauki and the rest of them confront them. The banded ones don't take the children seriously at first, but everyone is shocked when Seek defeats several banded ones effortlessly. Even Cecilia is surprised by Seek's strength. Yauki proudly declares he is his servant. He then jumps into the fight and defeats several bandits. One bandit tries to sneak up on Cecilia, but Yauki spots him and quickly defeats him. Just then, everyone sees smoke rising from the gargoyle statue. Yauki sends Seek to look for the gargoyle, and he himself, along with Cecilia, fights the remaining bandits. With Seek gone, the bandits think the two kids won't be able to handle them. But Yauki uses a powerful tornado spell to blow them all away. The bandits are defeated, but Seek doesn't return. Yauki goes with Cecilia to the gargoyle statue. There, Teal is tending to the injured gargoyle, and a strange man is holding Seek by the collar. Upon seeing Yauki, the man throws Seek away as if he were a sack. The man taunts Yauki with anger. Cecilia explains that the man is Miller, a hero from another empire. Yauki is surprised that there's more than one hero. Seek tries to get up. Cecilia tells him to rest and asks what happened. Seek explains that he saw Miller attacking Gargoyle. He tried to save Teal and Gargoyle, but Miller abandoned Gargoyle and started attacking him. Miller mocks Seek for trying to save a gargoyle. He moves toward the injured demon, but Yauki stops him. Miller says it's normal to kill a vile demon, but Yauki reminds him that the gargoyle was only saving an innocent girl. Miller still doesn't stop and attacks. Yauki fires a magic bolt, but Miller's sword blocks it. Yauki is shocked. Cecilia reveals that Miller has a magic-eating sword which counters all his magic. Miller laughs and cuts off one of Gargoyle's arms. Cecilia claims Miller is provoking the neighboring nation, but Miller says he wants war so he can kill enemy soldiers. Cecilia realizes Miller is a monster and Yauki prepares to defeat him. He unleashes a barrage of magic attacks, but Miller blocks them all. Everyone fears Yauki will run out of mana. He casts the blazing plasma spell, but the sword absorbs it as well. The children try to lose hope, but Yauki doesn't stop. Miller laughs, then his sword begins to crack. Yauki explains that the weapon has reached its limit. The sword shatters shortly after, leaving Miller helpless. Yauki knocks him down with one punch, but Miller secretly throws a projectile at the gargoyle. Yauki, unable to protect the demon, is caught off guard. Teal then jumps to his rescue. Cecilia immediately heals Teal. Miller laughs and fires an arrow, which turns into a powerful attack. Yauki blocks the attack, saving everyone, and Miller escapes. Seeing his friends injured, Yauki becomes enraged and his true demonic form emerges. Cecilia becomes worried for him. Yauki flies into the forest, finds Miller, and easily defeats him. He declares that Miller's crimes have sealed his fate and throws him into the trees. Miller is shocked but unable to react. Yauki then comes back and catches him, tightening his grip on his throat. Miller experiences the thrill of killing, but Yauki regains consciousness as he remembers Cecilia's face. He knocks Miller into the lake and returns to human form. At home, Cecilia heals him and cries after seeing him safe. The next day, the children contemplate how to fix Gargoyle's limbs. Teal insists on taking him to the manor, but demons are not allowed. Yauki laughs and explains that he has turned Gargoyle into an earth statue to get past security. Later, everyone returns to Cecilia's house, where Teal becomes a maid. But Cecilia refuses to keep the gargoyle statue in the house, which breaks Teal's heart. Next day, we see that Steele is cleaning the statue. At that moment, she starts coughing, so the statue tells her not to clean him every day and asks her to take care of herself. After that, she asks the statue if he has seen Yauki, and he tells her that yes, Yauki left from here a little while ago. On the other hand, we see that Yauki has come to the castle with Cecilia, where King Des is praising Yauki a lot and is very happy with his performance in Desk Village. King Des says, "You did a very good job today, so both of you deserve a reward." But Cecilia says that this was their duty and they only did what they should have done, so they do not need any reward. After that, King Des says, "All right, but Yauki, you tell me what you want." As soon as he hears this, Yauki gets excited, stands straight, and says, "The thing I want is something that not even you or anyone in this world can give me because I have to fulfill my wish by myself." Hearing this, King Des says, "What is that thing that I cannot give you? Is it money?" Yauki says no. King Des says, "Is it some treasure or some position?" But Yauki refuses that too. Then Yauki says that he does not want any of these things. So King Des asks, "Then tell me, boy, what do you want that I cannot give you?" Yauki says in his own style, "I only want Cecilia's love and I want to marry her." Hearing this, everyone present in the castle gets shocked. King Des starts laughing and says, "Yes, yes, you are absolutely right. This is something I cannot give you. You will have to earn this by yourself." After that, we see Cecilia and Yauki in the palace, where Cecilia is angry at Yauki because he confessed in front of everyone that he loves her, and Yauki keeps saying sorry to her again and again. He says, "I made a mistake, my tongue slipped, please forgive me." Here, Celia is also there and she says, "Yauki, since you made a mistake, now you will also get the punishment for it." Then she gives Yauki the punishment that he will not meet Cecilia for 1 month. Hearing this, Yauki faints right there. Cecilia says, "Ma'am, there is no need for this, I have forgiven him." Celia asks, "Is 1 month too much?" Cecilia says, "Yes, this is too much." Then Celia says, "All right, then 2 weeks will be fine." With that, she orders Happiness to throw Yauki out of the palace. Happiness drags him outside, where both of them see that Seek is sitting there sadly. Yauki says that he must be upset because he could not save Steel and Gargoyle, but after waiting for a while, Happiness drags him forward. There they see that Steel is still sticking close to Gargoyle. Then Happiness also tells her to go home, so Steel says bye to Gargoyle and says, "I will come back soon." After that, we see Yauki on his bed, where he is feeling very down because now he will not be able to meet Cecilia for 2 weeks. Then Yauki does not feel good staying at home, so he goes straight to Kevin and tells him, "Give me as much work as you can. Keep me busy so that I cannot remember Cecilia. I want to make myself worthy as soon as possible. I cannot wait anymore." Meanwhile, we see Cecilia pouring tea into 2 cups and thinking about Yauki. Then maid Sophia and Celia come there and Celia asks, "What do you think Yauki is doing right now?" Happiness says, "These days he is working very hard. My husband says that he is working more than before." After that, Yauki goes to Raven and tells him everything. Raven says that if Gargoyle's body has cracks, then the easy solution is to give him magic orc. As soon as Yauki hears this, he says, "Was it really this easy? I was worrying for nothing." Saying this, he leaves from there, but Raven says, "I haven't finished what I was saying yet," but by then Yauki has already gone. Meanwhile, after going a little far, Yauki thinks, "Now where will I get magic orc from?" Just then, Cecilia comes running and tells Yauki, "Hurry up, Steel's condition is very bad." After that, we see that Steel is lying on the bed and Seek is preparing medicine for her. Cecilia says she has a very high fever and even my magic is not working on her. If this continues, her illness will make her very weak very soon. The medicines we have will only improve Steel's condition for a short time. Yauki asks, "Is there no other way?" Seek says, "Yes, we will need dusk grass." Cecilia explains that this is a medical herb that is found only in very mineral-rich soil and it is not easily found everywhere. Yauki says with passion, "No matter what happens, I will find it and bring it." Cecilia also gets ready to help him. Here, Yauki suddenly says Gargoyle's name and as soon as Steel hears this, she wakes up and asks, "What happened to my Gargoyle?" Then Seek makes her lie down again and says to Yauki, "Captain, you go and bring that herb. I will take care of Steel." After that, Cecilia and Yauki come outside, where Yauki asks Cecilia about magic orc. Cecilia tells him that the merchant guilds use such materials. Then both of them leave to go to them, but just then Celia comes in front of them. Seeing her, both of them get nervous, but Celia says, "Don't worry, right now we should only think about Steel, so you both go quickly." But when they go to get this magic orc, they find out that all of it has been sold out. Hearing this, Yauki gets very broken. Just then Clayman comes there and the shopkeeper gives him the list of his items and says, "Sir, your order is ready." After that, Clayman sees Yauki there and says, "Yauki, I have some work for you. Will you do it?" But Yauki is very angry at that time, so he clearly refuses. Then Clayman says, "It seems you don't need herbs and magic orc." Clayman says, "I can give you both of these, just come with me." Hearing this, both of them become happy and get ready to go with him. After that, while going on the way, Yauki asks, "How many days will it take us to reach there?" Clayman says, "You said it is an emergency, so I arranged this special transport. With this, we will reach there in just 2 days." Then Cecilia thanks Sophia and Clayman for helping them and for coming with them. After that, after reaching there, Sophia says, "Today we will rest and tomorrow morning we will go there." Yauki asks, "Why not now?" Clayman tells him, "We will go there at night because it is only found at night and that area also comes under our enemy's territory. But I have a plan." Next day, we see that everyone gets ready and leaves to go to that place. When they reach there, they see a very giant monster that is eating the rocks of magic orc. Yauki says it looks like a stone snake. Here, that monster notices them and starts throwing stones at them. After that, they start attacking the monster while saving themselves from the stones. First, Yauki attacks it, but it has no effect. Then we see that the monster starts moving toward them. To stop it, Yauki puts many stones in front of it, and Sophia also uses her powers to bind it in chains. But we see that the monster easily breaks the chains and starts moving forward again. Yauki asks Clayman, "How will we defeat it?" Clayman says, "I will distract it, then Sophia will go inside it through its mouth. After that, we will have to finish it from the inside." Hearing this, Cecilia feels that this idea is very dangerous. Clayman says, "Don't worry, you have not even seen my wife's true power yet." Then Yauki says, "Now I will show it my power." With that, he uses his powers to hold the monster in one place. And Cecilia again binds it in chains and uses even more power this time. After that, we see Sophia making a shield around herself and going straight into the monster's mouth. Here, the monster feels a lot of pain. At the same time, we see some small mini monsters coming out from inside the monster and moving toward them. To stop them, Yauki attacks them, but his attacks have no effect on them. Yauki says, "If my magic is not working, then I will have to teach them a lesson with my own hands." With that, he starts punching all of them. While doing this, he also injures Clayman a little and tells him to stay to the side. But just then we see that the monster gets very angry and breaks Cecilia's chains, throws Cecilia far away, and then starts moving forward to attack her. Before it can attack, it suddenly stops. Seeing this, everyone gets surprised, and we see that suddenly something starts going wrong inside the monster's stomach, and it falls right there. With that, Sophia also comes out from its stomach. After that, we see Clayman running and hugging Sophia. Sophia says, "I am completely fine." Seeing them like this, Yauki and Cecilia also become very happy. Then they remember that they still have to find dusk grass, so all of them go out to search for it. After that, finally, they also find the dusk grass. After that, we see that while leaving that place, it becomes night. Yauki says, "We should go back to the city right now." But Clayman refuses and says that traveling back by carriage at night is very dangerous, so all of them will go back in the morning. At first, Yauki refuses, but Cecilia convinces him. Then, we see the night scene where everyone goes to sleep, but we see that Yauki is still awake. He packs everything and starts leaving alone to go back to the city. But we see that Cecilia is also there. Seeing her, Yauki gets surprised. Cecilia gives him the packed dusk grass and tells him, "You should go back alone." Yauki asks, "How did you know that I was going to do this?" Cecilia says, "I know you very well. I knew you would do this." After that, we see Yauki flying away from there in his demon form. After that, we see that as soon as Yauki reaches back home, he tells Gargoyle, "I am back," but Gargoyle does not move at all. Seeing this, Yauki feels that Gargoyle is no longer alive, so he starts shaking him strongly and says, "How can you leave a little girl alone like this?" Just then, we see that Gargoyle comes back to his senses and asks Yauki, "What happened? How is Steel? Is she fine?" Seeing this, Yauki says, "Yes, she is completely fine. Seek is taking care of her." After that, Yauki gives him magic orc and says, "Hurry up and eat this. You will be completely fine." But Gargoyle says this will not help at all. Hearing this, Yauki forcefully makes him eat it and says, "You have to eat this." After that, we see that after eating it, Gargoyle becomes completely fine and his hand also comes back. Then Gargoyle goes straight to meet Steel, who is now a little better. Seeing this, everyone becomes happy. Here, Gargoyle thanks Seek for taking care of Steel. Steel is also very happy to see Gargoyle safe in front of her. After that, we see Yauki, Cecilia, Clayman, and Sophia sitting in the carriage and coming back to the city. Because of staying awake all night, Yauki is sleeping with his head on Cecilia's lap. And with this, episode 7 ends.